Hey, welcome to the First Layer. This is Ask for Help, your weekly dose of getting your medicine, I guess, or getting your questions answered by people who think they know better. Hopefully we know better. Look at my hair. What happened to my hair?
That is called headset hair.
Yeah, your mic is gone, by the way. It's not as clear as it was in the pre-show.
Oh, let's bring the boom up. There we go. That's probably better.
There we go.
There we go. There's Barry White.
Yeah. I'm not going to worry too much about my hair today. Hey, I want to start off today by saying thank you to everybody who has taken part in the GoFundMe that Tim Acoin has set up for the First Layer, and for my wife and I, that it is helping us right now get through the tough part. There's some interesting news happening. If you haven't yet used the GoFundMe, it really will help us. If you want to use the Super Chat today or anything like that, it would really help us as well. Thank you very much. We are in a bit of a transition right now. By the end of May, we will be changing residence. We may be changing province. Right now I've got 2 job offers, one on either side of the country. Just need to get more details about what those job offers entail. So we don't know much more than that, but come June or mid-June, we will have a new home for the First Layer and for the show, and we're going to keep going with the First Layer because of you guys. You want it to keep going. I want it to keep going. And your help is very much appreciated. And with me today is Morgan Pierce, my co-host today. We are going to be rotating in co-hosts as time goes on now. Unfortunately, Brian is no longer with us for the time being. So there's no date on whether he's coming back or when he's coming back. It's unfortunate, but he needs time to sort out some things that are going on in his life personally. So we do all wish him very, very well. And I do want to say that he's always welcome on this show, and he's still a member of our TFL family. So
that's life. That's life. Life happens.
It happens. It definitely happens. So today I want to talk about where's this channel going to start off with, and then we're going to get to your questions. First and foremost, the channel is going to continue. As I said earlier, the channel is going to continue. We have a new episode coming out this Wednesday. Ottawa.
Well played, Ben. Well played.
Don't go to Ottawa.
You definitely won't go to Ottawa because that doesn't
exist. I won't go to
so.
Ottawa. It looks like right now we are so far going further west. Which is going to help me, actually. If this all turns out the way we're hoping, we will be going to BC, where I will not suffer from the migraines that I suffer from now. You can almost guarantee through the winter months, at least once a week, I have a migraine.
That's just rough, man.
It is.
That's
affecting
your quality of life, bottom line.
Absolutely. So, Accord XTC, hello and good afternoon, everyone. The sun is shining here in Ontario, Canada. The sun is shining here in Calgary, Alberta as well. But there's more snow on the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now for the weather.
got that alert this morning as I was looking at Mexico stuff, and I'm like, isn't that funny?
Yeah, it sure is. Now, Tim has put a link there in the description for the GoFundMe that he started. If anybody wants to go and check it out. If you again would, if we answer your questions today, please use the super chat. Again, that's going to help as well. What do we got going on? Okay, first and foremost,
and don't forget that like button. I'm just
don't forget to hit that like button. We got 29 viewers right now and 12 likes. We got to kind of balance
13.
that out a little bit.
Come on, let's go. Let's get to 20.
Hey, can't you get demonetized for using the S word, LOL?
It is a 4-letter word.
It is,
Absolutely
but it's
right.
not.
It is a bad word.
It is for us here in Canada. Down in Texas, not so much.
No.
Or Florida.
And if you're a skier, it's not a 4-letter word. It's a half
word. It is not. I want to pull up this image for you guys because our good friend Fragments, everybody knows him in our community. He's a wonderful model maker, model designer. He sent me this picture last night, and I asked him today if I could use it on the show. And this is a teaser, you guys. You guys all know that I love this kind of stuff. So here we have the Bride of Frankenstein sitting on some skulls, or a pile of skulls, doing her makeup and hair. And I got to tell you, I'm never, ever disappointed with Frag's particular style and his design. I can't wait till this is done, and he actually puts it out for everybody to purchase. And if you are a fan of pinup kind of stuff like I am, this falls right into my wheelhouse, and I'm going to have a great time painting this and assembling it. What do you think, Morgan? Oh,
great model for SLA.
Yeah, that's going to be an awesome model for SLA.
Yeah, because I can see lots of detail in the skulls, in the hair, even her hands. So and the shoes there, the stilettos or whatever. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's going to be great. Great for the detail guys.
Yeah, the only problem I have with stilettos on models is they snap off so easily.
I can see that.
There's got to be a better way to do those, but there really isn't. But I got to tell you guys that Fragments, great designer. This is the only picture I have, so if you're into Universal Monsters and you're into 50s, 60s pinup gals, this might be a piece for you to keep an eye out for when it becomes available. All right, let's go back.
Yeah, I guess the only way they could get around that would be to like have the piece of the shoe and then have the skull right in behind it, so that it's basically coming out from the skull a bit too. That could work, but obviously
that could work very well. Yeah,
he's
absolutely
the creator there, so we'll see what he comes up with.
All right, let's Thomas Hireman. I hope I said that right.
I think it's Perlman.
Please keep the snow 85 in Gooseneck, Texas. 85 degrees, I hope is what he's saying. And if the snow is 85 degrees, it's just rain.
Yeah, you can go golfing in that weather.
Hey, there's Joseph Jolly. We haven't seen Joe around here for a while. Good afternoon from Orlando, Florida, where I think they have the new Star Tours, or is that in California? I can't remember. Or the Galactic Hotel, or wherever that is. Can't remember.
Not sure.
So let's talk about printing and printers and the problems that people may be having with their printers today. So get your questions going, guys. Put them in the chat. I had an interesting one today from one of our members over on Facebook. He asked me, can printers interfere with one another when they're printing side by side in terms of the electrical signals? And typically they don't. I've had many printers running side by side, all in a row, all at the same time with no issues. Go ahead. Oh, you got two right there.
Oh, this one's, oh, darn it, this one's not running though.
Oh, okay.
The biggest issue I think is going to be, vibration. That's what I would worry about. The signal, everything, as long as you have good, your wires are protected, and there's no egress into your electrical circuits. You'd more likely have, in my experience, egress from something with a stronger signal, like a noisy microwave or a baby monitor, maybe something in that range. But I don't know, Rich, have you ever had that happen?
I have on occasion. I've experienced printers that have stopped, and the problem that he's having is it stops printing at about 30 or 40 millimeters up, or it stops flowing material at 30 or 40 millimeters up, and then just keeps, imagining it's printing.
Spaghetti time, yeah. Oh, non-spaghetti.
No, it's not even giving you spaghetti.
Printing midair.
Yeah, it's printing midair. So the only time I've come across that usually is when the power supply is not set to the right voltage. If it's set to 220, it can cause problems. Even if you're in a 110, 115 part of the world, 220, it's looking for 220, it's not getting it. So what power goes into the power supply and then out through the rest of the peripherals, it's saying, I want 220. I'm expecting 220. And I'm not getting it. I'm only getting half of what I'm going to do, and then it overheats. So usually it's the power supply that overheats, and then it'll start to shut down systems as it goes along. So that's the only thing I could think of. If anybody's got a suggestion in the comments, please let us know. We'll be happy to address that and let Mr. Rick Landon, who's one of our community members, know about it. Thinking about upgrading to the Dragonfly hot end on my Ender 3 Pro. Is it worth it? Honestly, I don't think so. The hot ends from Microswiss, and I know I keep saying this, I sound like a Microswiss fanboy, but at the end of the day, the Microswiss is probably your best bet because it's a direct drop-in replacement. I know the Dragonfly has done some changes to the design, and now they've got the Revo from E3D V6, which is making a lot of waves. This is the first real innovation I've seen in 3D printing in a while, is this Revo with the hot swappable tips.
I'm so glad you mentioned that.
Oh, you got a Revo.
Because I got mine. I did the pre-order and I got a bunch of nozzles and a bunch of other stuff. But I'm going to put it on, let's see if I can get this right. I'm going to put it on this guy. Back in here. It's a straight up, if you can see that there, it is a straight up V6 replacement.
Yeah.
Okay, with the V6 top there. That's just one of them. They did also make one of them for Enders as well. I'm pointing at Ender. You can't see it's off camera.
Okay.
And I've actually experienced. This is the first Dragonfly hot end I had, which is a V6, and there's a second one on there right now. I'm not blaming the Dragonfly hot end, but it's been a less than stellar experience.
Okay.
It could just be me. It could have been my extruder. It could have been other factors. But I've had some challenges with these. It prints great initially, and then down the road is when you start to have challenges.
Gotcha.
So again, that's just me. That's just this printer. I haven't tried anything else, so take it for what it's worth. But I'm really looking forward to popping in the Revo in that guy, and I'll let you guys know either next week or on the Facebook how that's going, because I'm really looking forward to it. Hot swappable. I mean, look at this. You just unscrew these, or not hot swappable, cold swappable. Sorry, you just unscrew it. No tools. I mean, it's been talked about on a lot of channels, but anyways, I'm looking forward to that experience.
I'm looking forward to one of those in the near future as well. I would like to have a look at one and play with it. I know there's a couple other questions in there.
They also just tagged footnote to that is that they designed one for the Voron. So you Voron fans out there, there's going to be one coming that's been specifically designed for the Voron.
Yes. The Scarecrow is asking, I'm looking to upgrade my Ender 3 Pro. Would the new Big Tree SKR Mini E3 version 3 be good to get? Yes, it would be. I think Big Tree has done a stellar job at bringing low-cost boards to our hobby and to the industry. They're high quality, they're low cost, Yes, they've had issues in the past with some things. You know, the Octopus board being one of them. There was the Octopus version 1 and version 1.1. There's no physical difference in that board whatsoever. The only thing that is different is the silk screening, because they made a mistake on the silk screening of the early ones, and that's why they changed it and made it into a version 1.1 with the correct silk screening. But as far as the boards go, they're identical. Now,
it's funny you should say that, because being in the IT world, you never take the .0 release. Now, there's no obvious reason why in this case, other than the silk screening. But yeah, the .0s, just, I don't know, it's just a thing in software. It just doesn't work.
That's true. That's true. I've written some software in my time, so I know exactly what you're saying about that.
Yep.
Now, as far as the E3, or pardon me, the Mini E3 V3, I would invest in it. Certainly, I would. I've never had a problem with Big Tree, and if you're upgrading your Ender 3 Pro because you want a more robust board or you want some extra things, we're going to show
give you some more options for sure. I put one into a CR-10S, and it just opened up a world of possibilities. You know, you can put in your own, drivers, whatever. Lots of options.
The other nice thing about them too is that they integrate really well with Klipper. And Klipper's not something we've talked a lot about on this show, even though I've spent a lot of time with Klipper on the Voron. I basically went back and started from scratch and learned it, from the ground up. I still don't know everything about it, but by adding Klipper to your existing 3D printer, and any 3D printer for that matter, by adding Klipper, it takes the load off of the board that you're using and puts it all onto the Raspberry Pi. Now, Raspberry Pis right now, because of that chip shortage, are stupidly expensive. I don't know why they went up so much, but they're stupidly expensive. Now, if you have if you have some Raspberry Pis around the house that you've been using or that you haven't been using, is sitting in a drawer. I've got one sitting right here on my desk, and this is, what is this? This is a Pi 3 Model B. This works just fine as the main hub for Klipper. There are some videos out there that will show you how to put Klipper on a Raspberry Pi Zero as well and use that.
Rich, I'm not sure if this is just me, but your audio in the last minute just went up about 2 notches, I think.
Oh, geez. Okay. Yeah, okay.
But, it is like something kicked in the background or something.
All right, I'm going to change that real quick.
Okay.
This should be better, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. So there you go, Scarecrow. That's my my assessment. We've got another question here. There we go. Question: if I put 2 part cooling fans on my Ender 3 V2 new mount printed, can I daisy chain the fans to the same 24 volt power supply, or do I need to separate 2 separate ones? I think you can daisy chain them. They're both still going to get 24 volts regardless. It's not going to drop 12 and 12. It's going to send 24 volts down however many lines you have. They're all going to be 24 volt. So, yes, you can do it. Would I advise it? Probably not. It's much easier to change a fan when it's got a clip on it than it is to, have to cut the wires and, put 2 fans together and then resolder and put them all back together. Hey, 3D Obsession, thank you very much for the super chat. Jerry's going to put that up right away.
No, that's all good. Well played today for Man City. I'm not actually wearing this because of that. I was doing it actually for the Ukrainian colors. But I just want to say super chat.
Super chat. Yep, there we go. I will get that button fixed by the time we're in the new studio, wherever that may be. But thank you very much, 3D Obsession. That goes a long way. Okay, back to this question. Yes, you can do it. Would I advise it? No. I like to have my fans separate just because if one goes and you've got them daisy chained, then you got to take all that apart, right? So
you don't have a single point of failure. Also, make sure you get a quiet fan in there.
Yeah,
you gotta
exactly.
Replace one, go for a quiet one. It's gonna last.
I would recommend a dual ball bearing fan, not a sleeve fan, or sleeveless fan, not the cheap ones. You want to get ones that have good double ball bearings in them. And
this is a sleeveless fan. This guy here is a sleeveless fan. See, no sleeves. I'm a fan. See, you don't want one of these.
Yeah, you don't want one of those. No. But yes, I would. What about you? What would you do in that case?
100%. The only thing I can suggest there as well, if you want to go the extra mile, would be to have the termination point around the hotend assembly, so you didn't have to replace the line every time if you lost a fan for whatever. That's a little bit extra mile. Is it required? Absolutely not. But it gives you that ability so that next time the fan goes, and they do run out, they are designed to run out, they wear down over time, and then you just have that short little lead, pop it in, pop it out, you're back in business, as opposed to replacing that entire loom and figuring out the wire inside there. That's a PETA. Save yourself the effort. If you're doing it then, just do it then.
Love for the Ukraine. Thank you again from 3D Obsession. Another $4.99. Love for the Ukraine. Yes. Ukraine's going through a lot right now, and they don't deserve what they're going through. And I don't want to get political here, but at the end of the day, especially in our day and age now, we have so much technology available to us. We have so many ways to be friendly with our neighbors.
Yeah.
You know?
They're basically being bullied, and that's not okay.
No, it's definitely not.
My personal opinion.
I agree with you. All right, what do we got next, Jerry? From Thomas. He says, I have a longer LK5 Pro and cannot flash the screen with the SD card. I formatted it with correct FAT file and other cards. Any ideas? It may be that the longer does not have a bootloader on it. Usually when you cannot flash the firmware, it means that it doesn't have a bootloader on the actual board. So what you have to do is you have to have a little piece of software that says, okay, I'm a bootloader, stick it in there, and away you go. Ben's saying that use an 8 gig card formatted as a FAT32 with the allocation size of 4096. That's something I've recently seen on someone's video. They were talking about that as well. And yes, do that first. If that doesn't work, chances are on the longer there is not a bootloader. I don't think they have a bootloader built into their boards. I had a longer here for a while, not the Pro. I had the longer LK something or other, and it was, I didn't have a good experience with it, to be perfectly honest with you.
As a candidate, if he wants to get around that board,
I think it works on the same setup as the old Ender boards. Remember, they didn't have a bootloader either.
Yes.
So, and you had to trick it with a piece of hardware to give it a bootloader.
Right.
Now you can put a bootloader on any board at any time. Any Arduino board will accept a bootloader. You just have to know how to do it, and that might be a good idea to do a video on that with people not knowing about bootloaders again. Dominic Rossetto, go ahead.
Normally it's normally not a problem these days. Like, it's just there's so much more you can do now, but there are some limitations out there. So
yeah, definitely.
Sure.
E3D announced the Revo CR, which is said to be a drop-in replacement for the Creality, available in April. Yes, they have. It has not yet been released, from my understanding. There's Almond Baines from Matter 3D. While he's here, we should talk a little bit about them as well. But let's get to this. The Revo CR, when it is available, I'm hoping to get my hands on one. I'd like to be able to see what improvements the Revo CR is over and above what we get with the CR-10.
I think what I saw just really quickly on their Twitter feed the other day was, a similar style of hot end that is above the hot end, essentially. Just a drop-in replacement for Creality products. Just going to work fairly natively, I think, from the looks of it. So
I think who are they now? Micro Swiss. I think Micro Swiss really kind of started that trend with drop-in replacements for different printers.
Absolutely.
And they made a killing when it came to the Ender 3, because I did it on a lot of printers. I did it on the CR-10. I did it on a ton of different printers. And to be honest with you, I think that with E3D now getting into this game, instead of having their standard, their Titans and their high flows and the V6 and everything else that they've got going on, I think that you can't go wrong with an E3D product, in my opinion. Hey, there's Thomas again with $10. Thank you very much in the super chat. Thank you. We do appreciate that. Everything helps. Every little bit helps to keep the lights on and keep the internet going. So yeah, thank you very much. Now, Jerry, you've got another question coming up. I know you do. What's that?
I usually could see Thomas on here, but he's not on here.
Oh. All right. So there's a.
Well, let's talk about some Matter 3D then.
Yeah, let's talk about some Matter 3D. Matter 3D is coming out with a ton of new filaments. They're rolling them out slowly. They're not going to drop 10 different colors on you at once right now. Remember, they are a small business here in Canada, based out of BC. And I got to tell you, even myself, I use their filaments a lot. I've got 2 rolls of their PETG upstairs, which are for a project which we'll be doing here on the show, which is going to involve hydroponics. We're going to use that plastic to do hydroponics. And we're going to see how well it holds up to, constant water being on it and underneath, the proper lighting and that kind of thing. So we're going to be using that. Now, have I used their PETG before? No, I have not. But you have, Morgan. Have you not used their?
I've used their natural PETG.
Right.
I was printing a bunch of nose clips for mask wearers, and prints very well. It's and has a nice flex to it, but it doesn't break. I haven't used it in a heat type application scenario yet, but I suspect, given the chemical properties of PETG, that it would be very good. And of course, you can anodize it or something like that. Is that the right term?
Anneal.
Thank you.
You can actually anneal all of their products. Yeah, annealing can be done on all of their performance line products.
What does that add? Like another 50 degrees of heat temp-ish?
Something like that. It does make your parts stronger. It makes them also one of the tougher filaments out there, from their PLA all the way through to their PETG, along with whatever they're working on next. I know that they've done some polycarbonate or carbon fiber. I can't remember which one. CF. Both. It was carbon fiber, right? Both. Okay.
They have both. They have a polycarbonate PLA and PETG, and a carbon fiber.
How do I not know all that? I got to talk to them guys.
You've had a few things on your mind lately.
Yeah, that's true.
Give yourself a break.
Yeah, I have.
I actually printed a really nice Oculus Quest holder with their PETG, because my intention there was to put some LED lights underneath it and have it sort of as a glowy base thing. So I have yet to do the LED thing, but I printed it, and it printed great.
Excellent. Hey, there's a local maker, MI, or Michigan. I'm going to say it's Michigan. He says, hello, I'm my favorite Canadian filament manufacturer. And I got to agree with that. He's my favorite filament manufacturer as well. And we've got, I've been working on a piece that is going to be broadcast on our channel here very soon. And it's How's It Made? And this was from my trip to see them back in late November, early December of last year. And
looking forward to that one.
I'm just still working on the script, but once I refine the script, I'm going to put it all together, and you guys will get to see exactly how it's made.
And Tim makes a great point there. Do run their PET G 5 to 10 degrees hotter than you would normal PET G. It's just that more awesome. It needs more heat.
Yeah, there you go. Andrew Osmond, he's rejoined the first layer, and he's been a member for 6 months. You know, you can come and go as you please as a member, and that always helps out the channel as well. And we do thank Andrew for coming back into the fold. Now, Matt Gurman, what happened if you do it, get an ABS resin? I'm not quite sure what you're asking there. What happens?
I'm going to say, what happens if you get in ABS resin?
Okay, Jerry says there's another.
Oh, you know that coat. I think he means coating it in ABS resin.
Coating it in ABS resin.
There we go.
You can certainly do that. I'm not a big fan of taking my resin that I would use for 3D printing in my MSLA machines and using that to coat my prints. Yes, if you've got it, it's handy, but at the price it is, to me it seems kind of wasteful. Now,
I'd say if you've got leftover resin or resin, let's say it's old, it's been sitting around, or it's not performing for you well, by all means, I've used it for that purpose. Use what you got, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But to your point, Richard, I wouldn't go out and buy a bottle of resin at the price it's at, and put it on my prints. I'd sooner, find some, translucent filler of some type, or you go with wood filler. It's much cheaper. It's gonna actually probably work better. I don't know what the brittle effect maybe is on the resin used in that way. I don't think we've seen that.
I don't think we've seen any strength tests on it. No, I think we've only seen finishing tests.
So would it chip over time? What's the durability if you're going to use it outside? I just don't know. But I wouldn't go and buy a bottle. I mean, if you got money to blow, hey man, use some money. But I personally would use the end of the bottle stuff.
Yeah, I prefer to use the XT3D if I'm going to do any kind of coating.
Yeah.
It is a little bit expensive. I'm not going to lie about that, but what it does for your print, especially if you apply it in the right way, if you apply it in thinner coats, sand between your coats, you're going to get a beautiful finish. And you don't have to worry about going and sanding out your helmet. If you're doing a helmet, you don't have to worry about sanding out a lot of things. But if you've got high detail, putting a coating like that on doesn't work very well, because it can obscure that detail, because it is a much heavier thing. Ben makes a great point here. Don't put resin in your airbrush. People do it, but it is dangerous. You don't want to breathe in resin.
You're turning it into an aerosol that's then going to be airborne and potentially, I don't know, be exposed to UV on the way it goes into your lungs. Like, that doesn't sound good to me. That sounds like fiberglass.
Well, essentially also, it is, because it becomes a carcinogen.
Yeah. What about, I haven't done it myself, but I've heard that you also use PLA gloop as a coating too?
Yes, gloop can be used as a coating as well. I don't think it makes the best coating. I still prefer the XTC. The XTC is a two-part mixture, and it can go a long way if you cut it with a little bit of alcohol, like good quality alcohol, like this stuff here.
99%.
If you cut it with that, thin it out a little bit, put it in a bigger tray. Don't leave it in the cup that you've mixed it in. Put it into a bigger tray. Let it spread out. You'll have more working time, and you'll get much smoother prints. The Scarecrow, he's in with Super Chat at $10. Thank you very much. He says, when I get the Big Tree SKR Mini E3 version 3, I would like to print in higher temps. Do I need to change the firmware? Yes, you're going to have to adjust the firmware, but remember, it's also going to be based on the what's the word I'm looking for? It's also going to be based on the hardware that you're using, the hot end, because your hot end with the thermocouple or thermistor and the heater cartridge, they'll only go so high. Heater cartridge like this, and I've got one right here on my table. This is a 50 watt. This is a 50 watt, 24 volt heater cartridge. Now, will this get me over 300 degrees? Yes, it will. However, I wouldn't go very much over 300 degrees with this. And as far as your thermistor goes, most of the little beads are great up to about 290, 300 tops. And then you'll run into heating error issues. So what you want to do is, if you are going to go that route and want to print higher temp over 300 degrees, then I would certainly look at going with a PT100 daughter board and thermistor, which is exactly what I'm putting into the Voron over here. Let me just grab this. So this is a PT100 board. I wonder if that will focus. Come on.
Might be lighting too.
Yeah, it could be lighting too. So this is by E3D. You can order this from most outlets now, and it comes with a thermistor that looks just like their other thermistors. It's that cartridge style, but once you put it in there, this is going to allow you to read temperatures over 300 degrees. So you'll be able to go up to 350, 400. These on spec will do up to 500 degrees. You'll be able to read the temp up to 500 degrees. So, but it's going to be that hot end that limits you, right? So, without a hot end and a heater cartridge that will go above 300, this is an option for you. Okay, and it all depends on what you want to print. Hey, Andrew Osmond says, you are amazing, and hit us with a super chat of $20. Thank you very much. So, and the Voron, ladies and gentlemen, is going to a new home. TK is going to be going to a new home. So I will build another one eventually, but it won't be till after all of the chaos has settled down.
Well, you might be able to visit too from time to time.
Yeah, that's true. Tim says, don't go that hot with Bowden system either. Yeah, you don't want to go very hot with a Bowden system either. And you want to make sure that you've got adequate cooling. When you start getting into those higher temperatures, you need something that's moving a lot more air to keep the fins on your heatsink cooler. Hello from Romania. Wow, hello. It must be nighttime over in Romania. Nadir.
I would say. Yeah.
Romania. Wow.
Welcome to the channel.
Welcome to the channel, Nadir. It's good to have you. So yeah, we've got, we've got a lot of things that we can look at when it comes to our 3D printers. If we want to do upgrades, it all depends on what we want to do with our 3D printers. This was designed to take a higher end heater cartridge and a higher end thermistor, like the PT100. I haven't put the higher end heater cartridge in it right now because where it's going, it won't need to get that hot. But on the new one, when I build the new one, it will be designed to print things like peak. I want it to be able to get up to those temperatures where I can successfully print peak. And it's an ideal machine for that because everything's enclosed. You've got a nice little air filter that sucks out all the bad air. But there has been problems with guys and ABS, for instance. People that are printing ABS in this machine who have too much airflow through the machine, and that's by drawing out all of that air through the carbon filter, tend to get lifting and warping. And this is a problem we see when the chamber itself gets too cool. 300 flux core says 300 water cooling. Yes, you can water cool them. I've seen them water cooled, but it's not something a lot of people do. I think Derek over at Spool 3D did a water cooled machine at one point, but I don't know if he ever successfully got it fully up and running.
And I guess the question that would come into mind there would be, are you going to be around that machine? Because I could see challenges potentially with long-term operation during water cool.
Right.
Maybe it's good initially, but if your fittings aren't the best, or they loosen up over time, or like whatever.
Yeah.
You've got water and electricity.
Two things that don't mix.
Not trying to be a doomsayer, but you're going to be wanting to monitor that sucker with that.
Yeah. At FluxCore, I have a BQ, or this is from DeWitt, Canada. He says, I have a BQ water-cooled hot end and pump. I'm yet to decide where I want to use it, LOL.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those pieces of equipment that I think if you're going to print something like we talked about earlier, PEEK, which is a high-grade plastic, and it's a medical plastic, you might consider using water cooling. But you got to be dang sure that you've got that thing just right, because if you don't, it could be problematic, I would think. Sheldon Grant is coming up next. There we go. He says, upgraded my longer LK1 to a Micro Swiss all-metal hot end, but it won't let me increase the temp to 295C, like the hot end is capable of in Cura and Octoprint anyway around this. This is set in your firmware. So what I would do is I would hook up the longer LK1 to a computer, run print, what is that one?
Pronterface?
Pronterface, that's the one. Use that to log into your printer, get a connection to your printer so you'd be able to move the axes all around. Once you're connected to the printer through whatever serial port it assigns, then I would say that's where you can go in and make that change. It will be a G-code change, or you can try and get a copy of the source code from Longer and go in and make that change in the source code as well. Okay? That's the only way you're going to be able to do that, Sheldon.
It's interesting. That's two Longer stories today where sort of a bit challenging with the let's just say under the hood management.
Longer, when I got their first printer, this was, gosh, I'm going to say 3.5 years ago. Longer reached out to me.
A couple of years.
Yeah, Longer reached out to me.
You had the orange, right? You had the longer
no, I had
orange,
the LK1. I had the LK1. And they sent it out to me, and nothing was cut straight on that machine. None of the upright supports were cut straight. It was off axis all over the place. Once I cleaned it all up. Is that the one
you didn't do the review on because of
That's the one I didn't do the review on, yes.
Yeah.
You remember the problems I had with that, yeah.
Just walk away.
It sat in the corner collecting dust until one day I got back to it and I trimmed up all the uprights and trimmed up all the aluminum just so that everything was square. Did I make it a little smaller? Yeah, but only by microns, only about the width of a saw blade, if that.
But I mean, that's what typically happens with those review models. They haven't necessarily been fully QC'd. It could be early on in the development process, whatever you want to call that. And you're getting kind of that first cut where, so that's always a bit of a challenge with review printers, right?
You bet. Hey, I got to take a moment here because I'm way past the half-hour mark. I got to take a moment and thank our sponsor for this live stream and for the channel right now, and that is brought to you by Mars Hydro. Mars Hydro has all of your in-home agricultural needs, from tents, lights, pots, and anything in between that you need to do indoor horticultural things. If you want to grow vegetables, if you want to grow whatever you want to grow, check out Mars Hydro today at marshydro.com. And yeah, they've got some great stuff over there. We've got one of their tents in the background that we're going to be using to do some experimentation with some plastic. So we're going to be showing you guys
one of their lights, because I want to do a little herb garden printed out of PetG probably.
Oh, nice.
But I was just looking at some lights and I totally forgot. So they're perfect.
They're 1000, the TS-1000. I'm going to take a minute to talk about it. The TS-1000 is the light that they sent me for a little 4x4 tent. Is it overkill for that tent? A little bit. The problem that we have with a tent like that is that it's not very tall, so you can't grow very tall things in it. You know, like tomatoes. Tomatoes wouldn't do very well in there. But the light, the TS-1000 light, is adjustable, so you can adjust the intensity of the light. Not only that, you can take off all of the hardware from the light, like the dimmer controller and the all that sort of stuff on top, and put it outside of your tent if you're using a tent. So you don't even have to open the tent, you just have to adjust the knob. Now, the other great thing about it is it's almost square, so it covers a 2x2 area really nicely. And it doesn't need a fan, it's just passively cooled, and it's not a bad price. I think it's around $250 in Canada, or maybe even less.
For the TS-2000?
TS-1000.
Oh, 1000, yes, $189.99.
There you go. Will a standard heater and thermistor from Creality handle ABS temps with a generic all-metal hot end, and I want to upgrade? Yes, absolutely it will. The standard thermistor and heater will do just fine, and it will handle ABS just fine. Remember, ABS doesn't have to be super hot. You're going to get up to about 240, 245, depending on whose you're using. Some you may have to start hotter and then work your way back down to 240. Matter 3D is a good example of that. You really want to start at around 250, 260, and then back it off after it's had a few layers. But yes, a standard heater cartridge and thermistor will do just fine in any hot end to print ABS. The key to printing ABS successfully is having an enclosure.
I was just about to say you might want to invest some ducats into that.
Yeah. 3D printer newbie from Milan, $10. Thank you very much. Great to see you guys. Sundays would not be the same without you. Thank you very much. We are very, very thankful for everybody that has contributed so far to the GoFundMe to help us to keep doing what we love doing, and helping you guys with the information that we have. And without you, we wouldn't have a channel, and I'm so grateful for that. We've built a community of over 31,000 subscribers here on YouTube, and we're over 2,500 members over on our Facebook group. Facebook group is a great place to go if you want to get some of your questions answered. We're going to open up the email again very soon, and we'll start taking your questions through email and showing off your problems if you send pictures with your email, and that will be going to questions@thefirstlayer.com. All right. Where are we now? Jerry, have we got another one? Ah, we do. Mm-hmm. Printer prawn. I had to explain this one to my wife. She goes, prawn spelt wrong.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. I printed some hydro mesh cups and lids with black PLA. They tended to last about a year under LED grow lights till they got a little brittle. Yeah, PLA, that seems about right. PLA will get brittle over time. Under grow lights, the thing, I haven't experimented with it yet, but I am going to. What kills me is that the pot that we're going to use for our experiment was printed in Matter 3D PLA, so it may not be a fair test. I may have to get some competing PLA and print another set in competing PLA. I know PLA for the most part doesn't last very well outside. Brian did a test with Matter 3D PLA last year or the year before, where he made a vase and put it outside on his deck for the whole summer, and it was barely soft. He did the same thing with some competing PLA, and within hours it was soft.
Yeah.
So
the material characteristics of the Matter 3D PLA do it's almost injustice to call it PLA in some cases.
Birdhouse.
Oh yes, I printed a birdhouse for Jerry, who she gave that to her sister. And anybody who doesn't know that's new here, Jerry is my wife. She gave it to her sister, and she still has that hanging on the fence every year. She says it hasn't broken yet. It was made out of PLA.
Yeah, the bigger issues are going to be like when you put something and it goes in the dashboard of a car.
Right.
You know, we all know how hot the inside of a car can get, or if it's inside a building. Will direct sunlight break it down? Sure, but if it's not a critical piece of hardware that you're making, you're probably going to be all right, especially with the Matter 3D stuff.
I think so too. When it comes to PLAs, I've noticed that Matter 3D, because of the way that it's manufactured. Now they do everything in-house. Just to give you guys clarification, they make their own color. From that, they make the filament, and their pelletizer machine is amazing to watch. While I was there, I got a chance to work with them and feed what was coming out of the machine into the chopper, which chops it up into the pellets. That then goes into the hopper for making your filament. It's amazing to see and how it all works. But I will tell you, they have two ingredients in all of their filaments, and that's the raw material and the color. And that's it. There's nothing else that goes into their filaments. ASA for UV protection. ASA would be a good one. But again, you may run into issues printing with ASA. I know it's a little tougher to print. You can also use PETG for anything that you're doing outside or with plants. ABS is also a good plastic to use. But experimenting.
I personally like using PETG here if I'm printing in my house, which I am. I know that the the CFCs or whatever whatever they complained about with paint. I can't. My brain is dead today. But there's things released into the air. Yeah. And there's especially with ABS, you can smell it. So unless you're doing some type of active venting scenario and you're getting those off-gassing properties out of your environment, you're going to be ingesting them. I even went so far as to put an air purifier with different settings in this print room I'm in here, because just even with PLA, you just want to get rid of some of that. It's certainly not as bad for you, but there's some off gassing and there's some off particles. You can do the research on it. It's out there. Is it conclusive research yet? No, but if people who are very smart and they're analyzing what is coming off of these printers and they're seeing some things, well, some things is more than zero to me. So I've made my personal decision. I'll just get a purifier, and if it wasn't a problem to begin with, great. It's like buying insurance. You use it so you don't have to feel crap in your lungs. Yeah,
exactly. If anybody's ever been around a fire where you've thrown plastic into a fire, it smells horrible. And some ABSs smell worse than others. But yes, it does pay to have, and I agree with you 100% on that, it does pay to have some sort of way to clear the air of those VOCs. And
That's right. Thank you, VOCs.
Yeah, VOCs. So yeah, I would definitely go and get yourself something that will allow you to do that. Even if you're printing under a cardboard box, and while I don't always recommend you doing that, if you're printing underneath a cardboard box, it's still going to leak out because that air is heavy. It with all those VOCs in it, it makes that air density heavier. Here's my little science lesson for you, and it will come out through the bottom, so you will smell it. And once you take that cardboard box, it's going to hit you in the face like you wouldn't believe. Once you take it off, so I would definitely invest into something that cleans the air in the room that you're doing. Let's get on to Nadir's question here before we have to wrap things up. He says, "What's a recommended retraction setting for a Bowden setup on a Wanhao i3 V2 Singer gear?" I think that's a single gear extruder, because I don't think I've heard of a Singer gear. Nadir, what I would say is set your retraction somewhere in that 3 to 6 range. That way you're going to know where you're getting the best start and stops. If your retraction is too much, you'll notice little gaps between where it starts and where it stops. And you'll have these little gaps all over the place. And it'll look like under extrusion. And it's not necessarily under extrusion. What it is because you've got too much retraction. It's not pushing it back down fast enough to squirt out that plastic on that next layer. So I would put.
And then I guess.
Go ahead.
After that, he could dabble with the retraction speed as well.
Yep.
Once you sort of figured out that more macro piece, and then just do the little test with the 2 little poles.
Yep.
And just run that test each time with those change retraction settings and compare. And that's your proofs in the pudding.
Michael over at Teaching Tech is got one of the best calibration sites I have ever seen. I
use it constantly.
Yeah, me too. I use it all the time.
I'm going to grab it and throw it in the chat because it's just too good. If you don't know about it, it's just a great tool, and it covers all your bases.
I was on a live stream with Michael last year, and I got to tell you, he is one hell of a guy. Former teacher, and now he does this. I think he does this full time. He's from down under, and just an amazing guy, and he has a lot of great information out there, and he's created a tool for the whole community to use free of charge, and it's definitely worth it. So.
Just one other tidbit too, unrelated but from an earlier topic. We were talking about the outdoor PLA stuff. Angus as well. He did a really great breakdown, pardon the pun, of running or having stuff outdoor for many years. So check that out if you want to. Yeah, there you go. You guys ever print in Palm, acetal, or Delrin? No, I know exactly what you're talking about, Delrin. I haven't heard of Palm or acetal. But Delrin, I have a lot of the high-end looks like
couplers.
Delrin is maybe the brand name for acetal plastic from DuPont, maybe.
Could be.
Search.
Acetal
Delrin.
Delrin.
It's got a trademark. It's got a trademark. Yeah.
I haven't printed with Delrin. I'd love to though.
Acetal homopolymer. So that means it has. I'm not even going to try. Oh, and then it's the more chemical name is POM, which is. Polyoxymethylene, which I'm sure Aman is laughing while I try and produce these chemical words. For those who don't know, Aman from Matter 3D is a material scientist. So he knows everything there is to know about plastic. He can tell you what goes into making plastic right down to the molecule. So it's good that he's in this industry now. Thomas is asking, is there a significant difference between PLA and PLA+? Oh, I love this question. Yes and no. And I'll tell you why. Depending on who you're getting it from. PLA, usually polylactic acid, as everybody knows, that's what it means, is made from cornstarch. Yep. Basically, that's what it is. Sugar is really what it is. And that sweet smell when you print. Yeah, absolutely. And then PLA Plus, it's supposed to have
additives in it to make it a stronger, easier to print plastic. You also have to print it at a higher temperature. Now, some people who put out PLA Plus are putting out a PLA Plus that actually is a plus. You're also going to see it as Performance PLA. You're going to see it as PLA.
Marketing name, whatever,
yeah,
PLA.
Yeah, PLA Plus, whatever marketing name they want to put behind it. There's only two that I can say for sure that work very well as a PLA Plus, and that is a Performance PLA from Matter 3D first and foremost, and 3D Fuel. Pardon me, 3D Fuel
3D
is the
Fuel,
other
yes.
is the other one.
Yeah.
Now the 3D Fuel stuff is designed for architecture, so this stuff is going out to engineering students and it's going out to engineering firms, and they're making models using that 3D Fuel because they need a more robust, a tougher plastic. Now, the Performance PLA, instead of calling it PLA Plus or PLA this or PLA that, they have decided to just call it Performance PLA, and it's the only PLA that they put out. They don't put out a low grade. They don't put out a higher grade because they don't have to. Performance PLA from Matter 3D is probably by far the best PLA you can buy on the market today. It's tough. You can anneal it. It holds water. What else? There's just a few other. There's so many other things I could say about it.
Better dimensional accuracy. Better consistency with printing. Fewer jams. I actually talked to Amon about this on my own accord one day, and his take on it was just that it's it's muddy waters essentially out there in the filament marketplace.
It absolutely
and I've experienced that, and that's why I asked the question, because I've done lots of printing and I bought PLA Plus before, and it sounds wonderful, but I honestly think that you're just paying more for something that is not necessarily guaranteed. And I gotta say, with Matter 3D, they're not trying to sell it as that. That's because it's muddy waters. They're just selling it as this is what it is and this is what it does. I've seen PLA Plus out there, and in some cases, I actually had a worse printing experience with the company's same PLA. So what does that say?
Yeah, exactly. Local maker Michigan, he says, I really want some Matter 3D TFL purple. Almond's in the chat today, and I'm sure he's seeing this. And I'm sure he's going to do another run of TFL purple. I do like the color. We've had some here. I absolutely love it. And there will be a TFL purple coming as a regular stocked item very, very soon, I believe.
Yeah.
So, wow.
It's just the joys of supply chain out there, guys.
Absolutely.
That's all it really is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, once again, thank you everybody who is taking part in our GoFundMe. Those people who today have used the super chat, I do thank you again. It's helping us stay on YouTube, and with the coming changes, we'll have a much better show, and we'll have a lot more information for you in the very near future. There's a show coming out this Wednesday for you guys to watch, and there'll be a few more episodes coming before it's time to move. So we will see you guys real soon. I want to thank Morgan for stepping in and filling in a chair today, so I didn't have to do it all by myself. Tim has put the GoFundMe link in the chat. We can, Jerry, can you bring that up?
Yeah, and the show is going on. The show is going on, and it will continue to go on. And I just want to say the community is happy that you're continuing to do that. I can speak for the community. Having come out of the community, it's always a pleasure to hear your voice and to hear your advice. So the show will go on. The show will go on. There's the GoFundMe if anybody wants to write that down. Every little bit helps. We don't know what the future is going to hold, but the show is going to stay on the air as long as we can keep it on the air. And whatever happens, you guys will be the first to know. Second to know. Awesome. My wife will be the first. I hope so. All right, guys.
Thank you again for joining us. It's after 1. I'm going to go have a quick bite to eat, and then I've got some stuff to do. I got to finish that thing. I got to finish putting in the new thermistor. So you guys have yourselves a great rest of the weekend, and I'll see you with a new episode on Wednesday, and we'll meet right back here next Sunday at 12 noon. Bye for now.
Take care, folks. Bye.
And we're out.